We're here today because we get a lot of questions about this big, beautiful bill. And I think that it's time for us to have a discussion about it. There's a lot of fear mongering going on prior to the bill being passed. I think the more we know, the more we can make well-informed decisions, like I tell you guys. But for the federal reconciliation bill, which is known as the big, beautiful bill, and Medicaid, it is a hot topic. If you need to understand the gist of the bill, how the funds flow, the cuts, the distribution, if you need to understand all of that, go watch that YouTube video because I break all of that down there and then do some share screen. So this video is picking up after the bill is approved because that's where we're at now. High level, there is Medicaid, which is for the general public, and it is not based on level of care. It is based off of income. There are income restrictions, income requirements, etc., that you have to meet, and it's capped to qualify for Medicaid. There's other ways that you can qualify too. The main driver for Medicaid is an income-based cap, right? Where you and me, which I'm not going to speak this over any of us, would qualify for Medicaid if, right, if we had a certain income bracket in our family size, etc. When it comes to the waiver, you have to meet level of care, you have to have a qualified condition or diagnosis, that's the right word, to be able to qualify. When you hear Medicaid's going to get cut, you are absolutely right. They are going to cut Medicaid. They have done it. It's happening. We have our senators who are doing things behind the scenes to see if things can be navigated better over the next 8 to 10 years. It's not looking good for a lot of folks on Medicaid. When it comes to the home and community-based waiver, the key goals are to increase the services in the state, to add more support and to grow, and to create more financial sustainability. Now, you might be like, that doesn't make much sense when they're talking about rates, cutting services, all these things. It doesn't add up. That's part of fear mongering because people lump Medicaid and home and community-based waiver in the same pool, and it's not. Let's talk about the people on Medicaid really quick. Now there is going to be a work requirement added on. Some people might say, well, some of our folks work and they're going to have a work requirement, but at the same time, no, because they're under the waiver. There is going to be a work requirement for able-bodied adults. They have to basically prove that they are working. I don't know how this is going to roll out with verification. Maybe it will be like when you collect unemployment, they do that verification to make sure you're applying for jobs and going to interviews. So it could be something like that. I'm not exactly sure what that verification would look like. And I think that's going to be up to each state to determine that. But that's not going to be our primary focus because that's Medicaid. We are looking at the home and community-based waiver. When you're looking at the approved bill, you're going to see Medicaid and then home and community-based. So I thought it was so interesting when we are like, okay, what does this actually look like? And before we dive into, there is something that I want to note in regards to two things. One is providers' requirements. There is going to be a stricter look. You might be like, well, isn't it already strenuous, Ariana? Like, what does this mean? It means that there's going to be checks and balances. It means that, yes, if they say you need to do X, Y, and Z, they're actually going to follow through and they're going to check on that. Before, it was like, we were told to do it and we should be doing it, but who was really checking on it? I think there's going to be an increase of checks and balances for providers, and this is going to decrease, please don't shoot me when I say this, fraud, waste, and abuse, because there are providers billing for services they should not be billing for, or there's providers billing for services that truly are not rendered. Have you heard of clawback? This is how they're going to hold providers accountable. If you are billing for a service you should not be billing for, and you are submitting claims and receiving funds, that's fraud, That's waste and abuse. Okay, so it is indeed happening. How would one do that? You're approved for a service, you have the clientele to provide the service to. How is one conducting fraud? You're really not rendering the service to said individual. Maybe you're rendering the service for a shorter period of time due to staff constraints or concerns, and you're billing a longer amount, right? That's fraud and waste. So they have to have more checks and balances so that they can detect that. Is everybody tracking right now? Good deal. The next piece of this, which are state directed payments. Oh my God, I'm so excited about this because nobody is talking about these state directed payments. I've already seen it roll out in my state for a variety of different services, especially when I go look on the procurement. I'm like, whoa, what is this? And so I want you guys to understand that there's federal and then there's state. The federal government is telling the states, y'all better pick up the coin too, and y'all better pay out too. It's not all on us anymore. This bill, it has so much wrapped in it, right? The Rural Health Transformation Fund is to improve rural healthcare across all 50 states. Now, when you think of rural, you might be like, okay, well, I don't live in a rural place. When you look at how each state is divided up, you might be in a rural area. Like, this is just one of the things wrapped into this bill. It designates $50 billion over 5 years. 50% of these dollars will be distributed to the states based on population if they choose to accept the funds. Your state may not decide to accept the funds. This is specifically for long-term services. The other 50% will be awarded based on proposals, contracts, grants, proposals. This is where they're putting the money. So yes, you still have the federal government. We haven't even got to HCBS yet, but then you also have the states too. When I'm talking to folks on Instagram or Facebook or an email, they're asking about the rates. Is the rates being cut? How is this affecting you? What does this look like? And I'm telling you, I'm not affected. I have a 3.2% increase. So again, we'll use group home services. My rate was $453.65. Now my rate is $468.17. So that's one of the 5 services that I offer, and they all got a 3.2% increase. There's other states getting an increase, like California got an increase. But when we're talking about an increase and a decrease, like, what does this look like? How does this feel as a provider if you were up and running and you were open for business and you have clients and you have payroll and you have insurance and you have all of these things? An increase or a decrease from 453 to 468, that's going to affect an agency that is large scale because they're running on margins that are so small. When you are stacked heavy with a ton of clients, you have a ton of staff, you have to really pay attention to margins. Some of these bigger agencies started closing down homes. What did that do for the smaller agency? That allowed more individuals to come available for intake. That's not a big deal for us, right? But when you are a bigger agency, that little bit of rate decrease or adjustment is a big deal. It's a huge deal when you're talking about profit margins. But for us, if you are under 3 million, 5 million, you're probably good. If you're going up to the 10, you're going up to the 15 million, it's heavy, right? Your expenses are heavy. Your payroll is heavy. You have a lot of clients. You may be offering a variety of different services. You might not be able to stack as easy, right? You're not being as strategic with your resources and your team. Those are the things that come to mind when I think about the impact on provider payments. Like I said, there's increases happening. But what I will say, you may see states that didn't used to have enrollment windows have enrollment windows. You might see that. Why? Because they're having to readjust and recalibrate. They're having to do those things. But at no point in time are they going to yank services away from folks who are needing level of care. It's just not going to happen. Now, you might also say, well, Ariana, I've seen people post about nursing homes and people getting kicked out of nursing homes. We're not really talking about nursing homes because that's a whole different piece of long-term care. And we're not opening nursing homes. We're opening traditional licensed assisted living, group home, and a variety of community hub services. Nursing home is a different level. It's a different animal. I just want you guys to ensure that, one, you're paying attention to your service, you're understanding the definition of service. We're looking at our rates and making sure that, yes, we are profitable. Yes, we are still making money. I just don't want you guys to be terrified. The rate piece may come from the federal government, but you also might see opportunities for procurement. You do have to be licensed and certified. So you are on the right path. Just know that that is probably an additional funding angle you can add. When we are looking at the home and community-based waiver services, which are a completely different line item than Medicaid. Remember, level of care at the top of the call. This is why I can say with confidence, home and community-based is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and it's probably going to grow. And I quote, effective July 1st, 2028, allows states to expand home and community-based service programs eligibility criteria and waive the requirement that individuals require nursing home level of care. This would allow a greater number of individuals with less severe needs to access HCBS programs. Many states already face waiting lists, so may be unable to expand enrollment. The bill provides implementation funding, including $50 million in 2026 and $100 million in 2027. Many current providers are not surprised because what are they going to do? Like I said at the beginning, go back and watch the YouTube video so you can see my original public stance on it. I just want you guys to know that it doesn't really matter who's holding office. I just can't see them taking away funding for the most vulnerable of us all and putting them on the streets. Like, you take my funding as a provider, where are the individuals going? To the hospitals? Like, when we think about it logically, to me, this just makes total sense, right? And so it is also hard to explain and digest when you don't understand the certain components of it. I'm one person, I'm one perspective. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.